Whenever I meet someone new and I tell them that I live in a van, the first question they usually ask is, where are you allowed to park? And I often reply, where are you allowed to park? Because it's not really that different. I have always fiercely chosen to live positively. I didn't want to go into this lifestyle with this constant feeling that I was doing something wrong, that I should expect to feel unwelcome wherever I have the audacity to park and thus exist for that day. So, living positively, I won't live in fear of someone knocking on the van. It's never happened to me yet. I won't worry about being unwelcome where I park because I only park where you're allowed to park. And I choose a spot consciously. I obey car park rules. If there's no overnight parking signs, I don't park there overnight. If it says no sleeping in vehicles, I don't sleep in the vehicle. Everywhere I go, I'm considerate about where I park and how long I stay there. Even in residential areas, there's usually an end of a road with a hedge or a fence or something that you can park there and not be immediately in front of someone's house. You know, you don't have to be obnoxious about where you park. I'm not being here like, I deserve to be everywhere, look at me. I just refuse to be afraid of taking up space because I deserve to be here just as much as anybody else does. I do often see people looking at the van and I wonder what they wonder, but I'm also not going to let my perceived opinion that someone else has of me to then affect how I feel about myself and the space that I take up in the world. There is this real thing in the van life world about stealth and having a vehicle that doesn't look like a camper. I kind of bought into this at the beginning with my first van, and it's cool to be super sneaky, you know. I'm in this van and no one knows I'm here, but when you're living in it full time, it's a very different kettle of fish because everything that you gain in stealth, you lose in comfort. Everything that you would need to emit from your van build, you would then make life less tolerable for yourself. And I just don't see that as a fair trade-off. You know, I'm talking about windows, I'm talking about solar panels, ventilation, things that make a vehicle look like a camper van, but without them, your life is going to be kind of uncomfortable. And I will choose the natural light every time. It's important for well-being, right? And I get that it can be a bit strange. I mean, if you're just walking down the road and then a van door just opens and someone just hops out, yeah, I don't want to be startling anybody, but I also don't want to be looking over my shoulders. Anybody gonna see that I'm here? I guess it's a balance, right? I don't want to flaunt the fact that I'm a woman by myself living in a van. Not that I would feel vulnerable, because I have, plans, I have systems, I have security, I have a routine that I know if I feel unsafe, I can get the hell out of there, right? This has all been built into the van so that I can feel confident. So I'm going to live confidently, because that's the life that I have set up for myself. There is one time I had a note on the windscreen. I was parked right near my aunt's house and there was no parking whatsoever on her road. It was like a little cul-de-sac. So I was parked on the next road over with his bags of room. And there was plenty of spaces when I arrived. There was plenty of spaces the whole time I was there. And I was visiting family, so I didn't feel like, it was an issue. It wasn't a place on Park for Night. It was just a road that I knew was near my aunt's house and I could park on, right? I don't have the note anymore, but I did take a photo. So let me find that. Okay, here's the note. Polite notice. If you don't live in this road, should be on this road, but I'm just being pedantic now. If you don't live in this road, please do not park your vehicle outside our houses as you are taking up valuable residence parking. We do not have a drive, so we have no option than to park on the road, and if you take up our spaces, where do we park? Please have some consideration for others. by not parking here. Your cooperation would be appreciated. Thank you. So, it's polite as hell, but also, I got a feeling that one note wasn't just for me. It was like printed out, folded up very neatly, and put into a little plastic Ziploc bag. And I feel like whoever's made this has a stash of them for anyone that parks on their road, not only vans. But here's the funny thing. The note didn't actually make me feel like I shouldn't park there. It actually had the opposite effect, because it made me stop and think, am I doing something wrong? Should I not be here? But it was a public road with no restrictions. I was visiting family. There were plenty of spaces along it, and I realised that the answer is I have as much right to park here as they do. I know it's convenient to park, right outside your house. If it had been a place that was difficult to park, I would have moved on. But the worst I was doing to anybody else was making them walk an extra 20 metres to get to their car. And if you ask me, them asking me to move is more unreasonable than me being there. But I think this whole thing is just like, it's bigger than just being in a van. A lot of it is gendered. Like, as women, we are socialised to make ourselves smaller, not take up space, apologise whenever we do. And I think that living in a van and driving such a large vehicle has actually helped me to overcome some of that and feel more empowered actually to take up as much space as anybody else in the world. This is like, I'm not trying to better than, I'm not trying to one up, I just want to exist. And yeah, I guess I've just reached an age now where I am kind of over feeling like, oh, you can't do that, oh, you shouldn't do that, oh, you're allowed to do that, no, done. And just to say, I have no qualms paying for parking or using campsites, but have you seen the price of campsites? Like, nowadays it's a challenge to find one under £25 a night, which often doesn't even include power, that's just for a place to park. And I'm self-contained, I've got everything I need on board, I don't need the facilities, so it doesn't make sense to pay for something that I don't need. One thing that England just does not have is airs, which they have on the continent in Europe. If they were here, they'd be probably well used. And if councils provided these, then that would be great, but they barely exist. So I park where it's legal, where I'm unlikely to impact anyone else, and I live my life by my rules. I don't apologise for who I am. I don't apologise for the choices that I make, the lifestyle that I lead, or what type of home I have. I just want to be free and enjoy my life as much as possible. And living in a van is a beautiful opportunity to do that.